Here I chat with Scott, who is an overcomer. He completed the Overcome Pelvic and Urinary Issues program. He has an amazing success story and so much wisdom to share with you. I didn't even know this was going to be recorded for YouTube. I was interviewing him for the book that I'm writing right now because I wanted to include some of his story in there. But so much came out, so I wanted to share it for everyone to see. My apologies for the video quality. Our internet here is quite slow right now at home. And again, we didn't know it was going to be for YouTube, but the audio is great and you can still see it and you're going to learn so much. So thank you so much, Scott, for sharing this beautiful story.
This is going to be great. I'd love to include some quotes or something about your story in the book I'm writing.
Sure.
And it's called The Root Truth. So I'm telling people how they can understand at the deepest level what's going on inside of them and not getting so lost in the medical system when it comes to pelvic and urinary issues, because there's a tremendous lack of understanding.
I think it's a great thing. You don't have to live like this. You just don't. Right. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. The one quote that you always said that just sticks with me all the time is, you got to do the work. Right. And, you're right about that. If you're not willing to do the work, then, the results are going to be bad. They just are.
For sure. I'm curious, remind me again about your earlier symptoms.
Sure.
And then you could also just go over a little bit about how your body's feeling right now.
Yeah. So, I had this 5 years ago, and luckily I did some research online and I found a pelvic pain center in my area. They helped me, I got through it. But this time was really different.
Yeah.
A lot of stress at work, a lot of anxiety going on in my life. I was about to leave for Park City to play some gigs with a band. My symptoms started 2 days before I was supposed to go. I thought it was a UTI. I didn't do anything. Got to Utah, got worse, went to a lab. They found a little bit of blood microscopic blood in my urine. They gave me some antibiotics. They called me Saturday and said, well, there was no growth on your culture. And I said, well, that's good news, right? And they said, well, yes and no. They're like, it is good news. It means you probably didn't have a UTI, but if you have symptoms, you really need to go to the doctor. So that freaked me out a little bit. I got home. I, decided to be brave and go to the doctor, which I know for a lot of people, it's a hard call to make. Doctor looked at me and he said, your tests are fine. Your analysis is fine. I'm not worried about it. I told him what pelvic pain is. He had no idea what I was talking about. He said I could send you to a urologist. I'm like, I'm not going to a urologist because urologist isn't going to do anything for me. I know that. Then I was a little desperate. But luckily, I found your program. I think from the first day, it was just so liberating to me to read so many of the comments on the site. I don't know if you know this, but there's a calmness about your voice and the way that you do things. And I don't know, Michael, you just have this way of putting me especially at ease. So I felt like I was making progress. Work was still horrible. Things were not getting better there. I decided to take 30 days off, which I knew was going to be my death knell at the job. But I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I stuck with the program. I will admit that the journaling was very difficult for me. And there were some things that I just did not want to do. But there was one night that I got up, I couldn't sleep. It was like 3 a.m. I'm like, to hell with it. I'm going to do this all. I have to do it. I have to do it. And so I did. And I started feeling better. I saw the pelvic floor therapist. They verified what was going on. And then I just stuck with it. I did the coursework every single day. I did the somatic tracking. And it just, little improvements, right? And your responses to my comments, which is amazing to me that you even took the time to do that. And I mean, these weren't like 3-word comments. These were videos that were 5 minutes long. That really helped. And the one that helped the most is, I got to a point where I was almost better and I was just so frustrated. I was at 100%. And you said, well, why don't you celebrate that you're at 90%? Right? Celebrate that victory instead of being so frustrated that you're not 100%. And I think that really, rang a bell with me. When I got laid off from work, I had a relapse. It was pretty bad. You had another comment to me back that was very helpful about, these things happen. You have to be patient. It can take 6 to 12 months. Don't beat yourself up so much. And then one thing that I did skip that I went back and did, the big breath exercise you did that's like 45 minutes long. It starts with some journaling and then there's a lot of deep breathing. I kind of did it the first time, but I couldn't get through it. I just couldn't. But I was committed this time. I'm like, you know what? I'm taking an hour and a half out of the day and I'm doing this and I'm not going to stop until it's done. And I think that was a real breakthrough for me to do that because I just realized how much mind body this was and how much stress was causing this. I just started to get better. And now today I have no symptoms. I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't say they never come back. I mean, occasionally I have a symptom, but I had a physical in January. Everything was completely normal. Everything was fine. So,
Hmm.
all these fears about cancer and all these things were just, I just realized how stupid it all was. And then the last thing I would say that really helped me a ton is you're suggested to read that book, No Way Out. That
Mhm.
book changed a lot of my perspective. I actually had a call with one of their therapists, which was amazing that they were even willing to do that. I realized the mind body stuff. I do a lot of the exercises and stuff every day. I do your 33-minute workout twice a week. I stick with the routines
Mhm.
that work. I do the somatic tracking. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I am. And am I worried that this might come back? I guess, but I think I know how to deal with it now. I feel so much sympathy, Michael, for men who are dealing with this because it sucks. Like you said, like how you dealt with it for 5 years is beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
7 months was enough for me to want to jump off a bridge. I mean, I wasn't suicidal or anything, but I was not in a good place, right? And even now, unemployed, and the future is very uncertain. You know
Mhm.
what? Just I'm thankful for everything, and I think the last thing I would say is you said in one of the videos that you really need to be grateful for this happening to you. And the first time you said that, I was like, that's ridiculous. But you know what? It's not ridiculous. I think you're right. And I think it was my body crying out that, Scott, some things have to change. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
like, you need to make some mental changes and, some physical changes and get more sleep. And yeah, so I'm listening now. And I think that that's helpful. But,
Yeah.
to anybody who's struggling, do the program and trust the process, right? How many times did you say that? Trust the process, right? You got to trust the process. I realize, what fear and anxiety do to you. I know it's hard to find support. I know most people don't understand this. So I would tell people to read the comments that other people write in the forum. There's a lot of really amazing stuff in there. And I think I felt aligned with a lot of people in that group, even though I didn't talk to them personally. I just felt like it's good to know that other people are dealing with, because sometimes you just feel very alone, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's where the way that you develop this, I know that we don't know each other well, and I've only talked to you a couple of times, but I do feel a real connection with you.
Hmm.
That we shared something that we both went through, and I'm thankful for all of that. I think the program has huge value. I can't express my gratitude, any higher to you. I just can't. But I am very, very grateful for you, Michael, and for the program. It's a little emotional for me because it was just so fucking hard, to
Mm.
deal with all
Yeah.
this. It was brutal.
Yeah.
It was
Mm.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm so happy. No, I want to express my gratitude to you for doing the program and actually looking at yourself and making the changes. And it's hard to do. It honestly is. It's way easier to go to a doctor's visit or to take pills or something. And so I'm really happy to see you feeling better and grateful that you have followed through on things. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
look, I think, and I never want to take anything away from a medical expert or a doctor. And, people should go and get checked out. But, you know, like I think he said in the book, right? Doctors are going to want to try to find something wrong. I mean, that's what they do, right? And
Yeah.
so, and I'll give credit to my doctor because he said, Scott, I don't know a lot about this. So I trust that you will do the right thing, but I can't advise you because I don't know enough about this, enough about what's going on.
I'm curious with your pain, where did it get to? If you were to give it on a pain score of like 0 to 10, and then like where is it at now?
So I would say it was close to a 10. And my pain was
Dang.
at the tip of my penis. Sometimes it was in my perineum. Yeah, it was bad. I mean, sometimes I would have to sit with my legs crossed. I sat on ice a lot, especially
Well,
at work, which I think people thought was probably weird, but I don't care. And I
yeah,
would say my pain is a 0 or a 1. I mean, it's gone, right?
it's gone. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, we're human beings. We get headaches sometimes. Sometimes we, have a little symptom. That's normal. Like if you have something come up here and there, it's just a message. It's not that you have chronic issues or anything.
Right. And I think, and I know how to deal with it. Like my therapist said to me, she's like, Scott, if taking a bath makes you feel good, do it. If ice makes you feel good, do it. What did he call him in the book? He's like, when the pain is bad,
Yeah.
do what makes you feel better. You gave advice to somebody once, and because they were saying they're having problems with frequent urination. and they were freaking out about it, which I was too, right? Because you think, oh my God, it's bladder cancer, it's prostate cancer. These are the things that you think. And you said to him, you know what, if you have to go pee, just go pee. It's okay. If you have to go 5 times, it's okay. Don't hold it in. You'll get better, but don't like try to force yourself to be uncomfortable. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. There were times during this that I was counting the number of times I was going to the bathroom every day. I'm like, oh my God, it's 18 times, it's 16 times, it's 25 times. I don't think about it anymore. And I think that, that makes it easier for me. Again, I think things come up, but I'm just much more prepared to deal with it, Michael. And I go back to a lot of the content on the site. That just helps me. Sometimes I'll just pull out one of the exercises or one of your videos and do the chill out or the mind chill or whatever it is, any of that stuff when I think I need it. So I think that's super helpful.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious, like, what do you know now that you didn't know before? If you were to see like a big differentiating factor before you did the Overcome program and then what you know now on the other side of it, what would stand out the most for you?
That mind body is definitely a real thing. It's absolutely a real thing. And it can affect you. I mean, it could be urinary issues, it could be back pain, it could be anything, right? And so I think that's number one. And I think number two is you got to love yourself. You got to be comfortable with yourself. And stress and anxiety is just part of life, right? Learning how to cope with that, learning how to deal with that was a big thing I took from the program. And the last thing is just listening to my body. If I'm tired and I need to go to bed, then go to bed, right? If I feel like just sloughing off a day because that's what I need, then that's what I'm going to do. I'd say right now in my life, it's stressful, right? I don't have a job. The tech market sucks. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. But you know what? I'm dealing with it. I have belief that everything will be okay. I think that was the biggest thing. And the last thing is just that, how much everything I think in your body is connected to your head, and your brain is weird, right? I mean, it just, right? I mean, your brain can create all sorts of craziness and stupidity that, is going to manifest in your body somewhere. And I'll tell you the weirdest thing about all of this is right before this all started, right before I went to Utah, I thought, man, what happens if I had that pelvic pain thing again? What would happen if that all started again? And then 24 hours later, there you are. Right. So, I think that was a big thing for me. And just like when I was in Utah, I can't tell you how many times I went to the bathroom. And what did I do when I went to the bathroom? I had my phone. And what am I reading on my phone? Every symptom of I could tell you every symptom of every urinary issue ever created. Right.
Right.
I know the symptoms of bladder cancer or pancreatic cancer. You know what I mean? And I just realized from the stuff that you said, it's like, oh my God, all that information I put in my brain, what did my brain do with that? It made things worse.
Because there's a fear connected to it. You're afraid of it.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. When I went to the doctor for my physical, I go in, they check my blood pressure. It's 157. After the appointment, when he told me everything was okay, it dropped 25 points. So I'm like, are you concerned about my blood pressure? He's like, no, Scott, I'm not. You're healthy. He's like, I understand people get freaked out when they come to see me, but it's okay. And I think that's what I realized. Look, I don't want to go through this again. I really don't. But I got to control my anxiety and my stress, Michael. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. That's the core lesson that comes out of this, is that you have to learn how to do that. I think you explained this, right? That it's like you have a cup, and eventually there's so much water in the cup, it just overflows, right? And if you don't figure out how to empty it and let go of all that, then man, it's never going to go away. And I think for me, that's what I try to do. I don't know how you became so informed of all this stuff, but there's so much value in everything you do. There really is. And the fact that you're willing to do it, and hopefully you're making money at this because you deserve to. I mean, what you charge for the program, you could charge 3 times for that. It still would be worth. You could charge 10 times that for that. It'd still be worth it. What's my health worth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think your understanding, your compassion, your empathy, the way that you're able to express that in video. There was a lot of times like I felt like it was just you and I having a conversation. I've said a million times on this call, I'm so grateful. The fact that I even found your program was a minor freaking miracle. I went in with zero expectation, but the first thing I did with you, I was like, this is going to help me. And it did in ways that I can't even, and it's not just the pelvic pain, right? I mean, that it definitely helped with that, but just helping me in my life in general. It's been a huge blessing for me. I don't know if I should call you a mentor or a friend, whatever, but if there's one thing I want you to walk away from this call with, it's that you've made a significantly huge impact on my life.
That's really heartfelt, Scott. I really feel it. I know that you said, like, you're unemployed, you're going through this change, but it's also an amazing opportunity. You have nothing weighing you down. You
Correct.
have any infinite possibilities now, infinite creativity. You can go anywhere, do anything. So definitely lean into that, feel that, enjoy that, because that will lead you to that next thing that's going to feel even better than the job you were in before anyway.
Yeah, no, 100%, Michael. And I think that's the point. And that's the last thing I got from the program, right? There was a point in the middle of it when I was really not in a good place. And I just had to ask myself, Scott, do you really love yourself? Like, do you? And I started thinking the answer to that question is probably no, because I was so hard on myself about everything. And yeah, and I mean, having you help me look back to my childhood, and I learned a ton about myself through the program. And I'm 57. I wish I would have learned this all 30 years ago. I do see the future as bright. I'm thankful for my health, man. So anyway, man, listen, if there's anything I can do, you have my information, reach out. But again, Michael, I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful.
For sure. No, this was amazing, Scott. I am so happy to hear all of this, and I'm excited about this next phase of your life as well. It sounds like you're stepping into some new, beautiful things, and keep making music. Thanks for supporting everything.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Michael. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.